Hey guys, today we have a little bit of a beautification project on this 1987 Cabriolet. So this strip right here where the window goes up and down on is heavily worn and it's really sticking out like a sore thumb. So the top is also very old and tattered and it's going to go to a shop. I'm not going to do the top myself, but I have an appointment in about 2 months to get the top replaced. And if I can do some of the trim pieces myself, I can save a little bit of money. So the top is dry rotted and it's starting to really show some wear. It's got a lot of wrinkles. The cables have come detached internally. So it really needs, I think, an expert to fix this top because it's got a lot of problems. This piece is heavily frayed and faded. So it's a foam surface with a cloth covering. This piece is also foam. And someone else has already replaced the cloth on this upper piece. It just needs to be glued down a little bit on the end. But that piece is not the problem. It's really this guy. This piece is removable. So I'm going to kind of lift up the top and access some nuts that are back here. The top will sort of stay here, but I'm going to use some rope to tie it to the rafters just because I don't want this to fall. This is a good spot to access these nuts on the back. Here's a little tool you may or may not have. So I use the ratchet to break the nuts free. It's a little rusty back there, but I have this guy which kind of turns it into a screwdriver almost. Just use that on your fingers. And that combined with this boroscope camera, this guy, which has an articulating head, that really has been helpful to try to find the nuts and get them off. I did have to lower the top a little bit to get to this lower nut. It's probably the most difficult one to get to. And it's right behind the seatbelt attachment point. So if this thing is more vertical, it lets you get an extension on the wrench and allows you to get it off. Got it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 holes to remove that piece. There was a little bit of residual glue in here that was sort of gluing it down, or maybe it's just all the old dirt and debris in there, but yeah, we'll clean that up. And then interestingly enough, there was only 3 nuts on there. So I'm not sure if the factory missed one or if one just maybe fell out. And then I also found these modified washers behind there because this surface is slotted. It's not just a hole, it's a slot. So that means you can adjust this rubber in and out to make better contact with the window to prevent air leaks. So that's also a good adjustment to know about. So now we can see evidence of that fabric and it wraps all the way around here. It's supposed to be here. This part is completely weathered off. So this is the material and it's glued on in these regions right here. It looks like it stops at that point, but this is the material we want to just re-glue on and get some new material and just re-glue this on. It's also folded in on itself up here and glued down in multiple areas. So it's pretty well covered. All the foam is mostly covered. So we might have to do some relief cuts to get in and out of here. But it's in this steel channel and I think we can pull the foam out of the channel for the purposes of recovering it. And then we'll put it back and that's going to help hold it in place. The foam itself appears to be in good condition. It's nice and squishy. These pieces, brand new, are very expensive. I want to say like 300 each. I'm not sure on that, but they're expensive. Okay, so here's that metal channel I was talking about with the welded on studs. put that aside, and then this is the piece we want to carefully recover. So you can start to see what that original material looks like. And I'll show you what the new material looks like too. It's almost an exact match. So I picked up this stuff from my local upholstery store, and it's called bow drill or bow drill. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. It's like a canvas, but it's very tightly wound, really fine mesh. You can see through it, and glue will seep through it. So here's the comparison between the new material and that original material. This stuff is not glued on super tacky in this part, and that's, I think, why most of it's already gone. But it does get very tacky on the edges. So we have to try to be careful with the amount of glue we use. Lots of glue in the wrapped regions, but not so much glue out here in the open. And the foam is not coming apart when we pull this old stuff off. Yeah, so it looks like there's like very light glue in this region and heavy glue underneath that channel. Okay, most of that old material is off, but I'm just using a little bit of 180 grit paper. Kind of get off some of that old glue residue and any of that fabric. So when I pull the new material tight on there, I'm just looking for any evidence of old material. It covers it pretty well. So I think we're done cleaning the rubber. Now I'm gonna go ahead and glue on what is the most cosmetic surface first, and then I'll probably do it in stages. I'll let this surface dry, and then I'll go back and wrap it around the bottom and then do the ends last. So I'm using this Landau glue. Now, this is the high temperature solvent-based glue. It's also high temperature and UV resistant. So it's meant for the, those old like Cadillac tops. So I'm gonna put it on very thin in hopes it doesn't seep through. So very thin. So because this is on so thin, it's gonna tack up really quickly. So I don't think this has any particular direction to it. So I think we're well tacked up, and I'm just gonna make sure there's no bristles in there like that one. Make sure I have enough room. So no wrinkles, not pushing too hard, just kind of go ahead and let this dry as is. And then we'll come back after this has some strength to it. We'll come back and roll it around all the other edges. But that's the step one, I think. This is dried for a few hours, probably about an hour. It's definitely on there. I'm not gonna rip it off, but I'm happy with the tack on that, and it's not coming through the material. So now it's time I'm gonna go ahead and glue this linear edge here. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim it first and then glue it second. So we wanna trim just about even with this line right here. So I'm gonna come in like this. So a little heavier on the glue this time. Now I did test this glue prior to putting it on the foam, because some glues can actually eat the foam, and we don't want to eat the foam. And I'm gonna go ahead and work this up into this upper piece. There's a little flange here. I'm just gonna make sure the glue gets worked up into that little section. Actually, I'm gonna let that tack up just a little bit more. It should stick and not come off. So if it's still too wet and it releases, we don't want it to release right away. We want it to stay down for good. Now, because this is the backside, I'm not concerned if the glue oozes through the fabric. I just want to make sure it doesn't come off. Now it's pretty tacky, so I'm stretching it just a tad, but I'm not making it too tight. I'm just tacking it down. Just make sure it's flat on that side, and then we're going to just use the back of this paintbrush to get it down inside that sharp groove. It's stuck down pretty well right now. The glue hasn't dried, but you can see how some of it did ooze through the fabric, and that's what we want to avoid on this side. But it's okay back here. That's just going to give it extra strength. This glue is pretty good. This is not your Home Depot spray glue. This stuff is industrial glue. So I've used it for the sound insulation on the 356, and it's very, very strong. Then I'm going to do light glue here on this exposed side. This side gets heavy glue, but then right here in that channel, it's got to get light glue. So that's why I like the brush on, because you're able to control just how much glue you're putting down. And then I can go much heavier on this section. And then I'm not going to go around the corner yet because I'm going to go ahead and trim that once it's glued. I'm not pushing real hard here because, like I said, I don't want to ooze that through. You just want to keep it glued down. And then this part has a little channel. So we'll go ahead and use the end of the paintbrush to get it pushed inside that channel. See how it has a C-shaped channel there? It needs glue to support that. This section's pretty heavy glue right here. So just tacking it over. I can trim this length right here. I can trim that so it can fold under. So I'm just eyeballing, you know, about 1/8 of an inch or about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once again, this part's hidden, so we just don't want to drip any glue on the outside. We can put a fair amount here on the inside. Okay, we don't want to glue this rubber bit down because there's a channel that goes in there. This channel has to fit on that, so we want to make sure this stays open. So we'll just put in some paper towels and stuff. I know it's a black part, hard to see, but it does have good definition. Part won't be very visible. We just don't want to have the wrinkles. So we're gonna have to do some relief cuts and tuck it down. Tuck it down and glue it. I do know that anytime there's a corner, it needs to have a trim. Right on the edge of this line, we'll trim it right to the corner. Get a good feel for that one. So this is the side, this is the external side of the car. So we want to probably, you know, get that glued down first to make it nice and even. And then we'll worry about everything else, which is going to get hidden later. So now I'm going to put this back in the channel while it's still drying. And I put a little bit of glue right where the factory had put glue. So let's hope this works. And so that's it. This fits really well along this black frame. The paint on this frame is fine. I mean, it's no point in really repainting it. It's good enough. So this is, I think, ready to go back in the car. You have a nice end on that. This all looks nice and smooth. A little bit of glue residue right there. We can wipe that off with some Goo Gone or something. But let's see how it fits in the car. This is great. Just dusting off this part of the car where a lot of dirt is accumulated. Like I said, this blue canvas is going to get replaced. Don't forget these washers go behind there, and they do have a cut in them, so make sure we get the washers lined up correctly. Okay, it's on there. I'm gonna put the top down and make sure it doesn't pinch or anything, and then we'll see how the window works. So when the top is up, this part here overlaps this part, and there's a nice little fit to it. So it's rubber against rubber there, and everything squeezes together nice. So this is really much better than it was before. That's that metal channel, never sees the sun, so that's nice and black. This has a nice contour into the back seat. If someone does climb in the back seat, you might brush up against that. Nice transition here to this weather strip. That's really happy. I'm really happy with that. So never mind this broken section up here, but look at the way the glass makes contact with the new rubber piece. It's pretty good. It makes contact right there. It makes contact right there. There's a little bit of a space right there, but you know, convertibles are never 100% perfect. I could potentially adjust it out just a little bit. Maybe, you know, you can't really bend it in the middle, but we can maybe adjust it out just a little bit. So what I can do from back here is I can loosen those screws and just slide this whole thing out just a little bit if we find that it needs a little bit more adjustment. But cosmetically, it looks much better. And then here's the window going up and down. It just slides right on that surface. I like to crack the window down a little bit when I open it. You don't have to, but it does protect that seal a little bit. It's just a dramatic improvement. This horizontal piece is in good condition and it blends well now with this vertical piece. Once we get the new fabric top, this whole top is going to look amazing. The way it transitions at the bottom, it's great. No bunched up corners. Really happy with it. The material was almost a perfect match. I think the German stuff might just be a slightly finer texture, but you really can't tell the difference. One of those things you notice every time you open the door, now it's fixed. So this car, I'm continuing to put miles on this car. I don't baby the car, but the longer I own it, the better it gets. And just these little things like that just keep getting better and better. The top is gonna be about $3,000 to have put on with the you know, German materials. So I think this car deserves it. It's gonna make it a lot better looking. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.